The best way that I can describe dysphoria is one night I remember having a dream that I was a boy. I felt so happy after waking up from that dream. It just felt like I was excited to be alive. And then I got up and went and looked in the mirror, and just that happiness was like crushed. Based on the information that I had, that medical transition is by far the best treatment and that you are at risk for suicide if you don't follow that path. I thought I only really had one path that I could take.
I became alarmed back in 2019 after I realized I was seeing more kids with gender dysphoria, and every single one I referred to the gender clinic was being transitioned.
There are some people who do benefit from transition, but there's some people who are harmed from transition.
So it's often said that puberty blockers are reversible, but the majority of children who are started on puberty blockers, over 95%, go on to take cross-sex hormones. Because they are the first step in sequential treatment pathway, puberty blockers cannot be considered a standalone intervention.
If it worked, if it on some level it appeased people and it made them feel so much better, I'd be very open to it. But I've met way too many people, way too many detransitioners who said, I was constantly trying to fight against the onslaught of nature. I was always fighting against it with the hormones I was taking. As somebody said, it's like putting diesel in the petrol tank.
It's just not true that these kids are more likely to complete a suicide if they're not given these interventions. And in fact, there was a study looking at the Swedish population of those who had transitioned that found that those who had transitioned had suicide rates 19 times higher than population-matched controls. So I'm always interested in addressing psychological distress with psychological interventions.
These vulnerable people were treated incredibly badly by the professionals.
In the United States, there are 22 professional organizations that have lined up behind gender affirmation. And these professional organizations are stifling debate in the medical journals.
The U.S. is refusing, the American Academy of Pediatrics is refusing to do a systematic evidence review.
There are several progressive countries, that the ones that pioneered pediatric gender transition, and they are reconsidering what they've been doing.
Puberty blockers followed by cross-sex hormones. The fact they're being offered outside of clinical trials, despite the fact there's so much unknown about long-term risk, is a scandal in and of itself.
It's up to us on the left to walk this back and to be honest about the complexity of it. I want liberals to make room for gender diversity, and that includes masculine girls and feminine boys, without telling them that they need to leave their sex category because they are different. I want them to understand that there are many ways to treat gender dysphoria if a child does have it.
Like I said, I have to now live with what I've done.
These doctors and therapists put me through this. They had no reason to, except for the fact that I said it.
I turned to professionals, doctors, and I was not helped. I was just ushered along, very mindlessly. And I had permanent damage because of it.